Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
First one is titled, You Need to Come Into Work Now. Obligatory. This happened a while back, but as the cold weather sets back in, I thought of this sub whilst regaling the story to my new boss. I shall set the scene. The UK has just been hit by the beast from the east at the start of 2018. As per usual, when there is the slightest bit of adverse weather in the UK, the rail system is up the wall, and trying to travel to the station, let alone actually commute into London, is proving difficult. I work in IT, on a service desk, and therefore basically take phone calls remote onto people's machines and then go to their desk if absolutely necessary. Our service desk split these tasks so that someone is on desk side whilst the rest are on calls, and if your call escalates to the need for a desk side visit, you pass it over. I spoke with my line manager ahead of the impending storm to say that the areas some of our team lived, including myself, were due to get hit hard, and therefore it may be prudent to test our home setups in case we needed to provide support from home. This was a worst-case scenario. The beast from the east hit, and the weather worsened, and the snow hit the fan. Monday morning, I wake up to a wall of white and call my manager to say that I will struggle to make it to the station, let alone the office. A quick check of the rail website reveals cancellations and delays galore. Manager says not a problem, she has had some other calls of the same nature and has asked that I get logged in remotely to handle calls and resolve issues remotely where possible. Some of our team live in central London and have managed to make it into the office, so they will handle desk side visits. This same setup continues on Tuesday and Wednesday as well. It works well. The people at home answer the phone calls and take care of what they can whilst passing anything they can't to the people in the office to do local visits. There aren't a huge amount of people in the office due to the weather conditions anyway. Over the Tuesday-Wednesday, I hear rumblings that the head of IT, my manager's manager, is unhappy with the fact that some of the service desk are getting to work from home, and I have been keeping an eye on the weather and the train situation, and neither has improved a great deal. Thursday morning, there has been no extra snow overnight, and my train company declares that they can run some extra services, but they will still be limited and they will be slow trains, so delays are expected. However, the road conditions to get to my local station are still abysmal. So I call my manager again and say, trains are getting there, but the roads are still rubbish. Happy for me to man the phones from home again today, and she is fine with that, as expected. I head downstairs and get logged in nice and early and start helping out. I know that my manager is doing me a favor by not forcing me to come in, and so I am happy to do her a favor and help out where and when I can. Then, at around 9 AM, I get a call from my manager stating that you need to come into work now. Head of IT has decided that if he can make it into the office, so can everyone else. If you can't, you need to take today as holiday. Cue malicious compliance. A couple of my colleagues who live real far out say that they cannot make it into work, so they take holiday. I don't really fancy using my holiday because the head of IT is being unreasonable, so I say that I will head in. I tell my manager that I don't know how long it will take me, and she says, that's fine, I'll see you when you get here. So I sign out of my computer and I get myself booted and wrapped up and head out into the cold. 9:15 AM. I haven't prepared my car at all this week, so is covered in snow and has been sitting cold. So I start clearing the windshield and the sides and then make a start on the roof. Need to make sure the car is clear of snow before setting off to be safe for myself and others. Once all the snow is clear, I start her up and let her idle for a little while. Don't want to cause damage to my car setting off from cold, and this allows the inside to get warm and the windscreen to clear off fully. 9:45 AM, I set off for the station. The roads are, as presumed, terrible. I can't drive at anywhere normal speed, and considering it is now 10 AM, the roads are busier than when I leave for work normally. My normal 15-minute drive turns into an hour, and I can't even make it to my normal parking area as the roads are even worse there than where I started. 11 AM, I abandon the car and start walking. It's slippery, even in heavy-duty boots. So I take my time. No point injuring myself trying to get to work. As I get closer to my station, the pathways clear up as they have gritted, thankfully. 11:30, I get to the station. This is normally a 20-25 minute journey. The trains are buggered. All reports that I had seen about them being back to relative normality is BS. There are lots of people milling around waiting for a train, and a quick chat with the station staff reveals the last one came in an hour ago and there isn't another one in sight at the moment. I knew this moment was coming, so I find a seat, pull out my thermos and get to waiting. A train finally arrives at 1 p.m. Set to head into London. Normally a 45-minute journey. The poor soul driving the train apologies for the delays and warns us that despite stopping at less stations, we are still in for a journey. I won't bore you with the particulars, but when he said we were in for a long one, considering the weather, I thought he did quite well. We got to our station in London for 3:30 p.m. Luckily for me, my office was just round the corner from the station, so I rocked up at 3:45 p.m. I got settled in and logged in, said hello to my colleagues and manager, and then had a look at the time. Would you look at that? It's 4 p.m. I started at 8 a.m. So I finish at 4 p.m. So I logged out, said bye to my colleagues and my manager, and started the trip home. To answer some questions that I am sure will come out of this. My manager was chill. She knew my personality and knew exactly what I was going to do, and I knew she would have my back. My colleagues found it hilarious. The head of IT was less than impressed. He had a meeting with my manager that day and she basically told him to stuff it, as the service desk was hers to manage, and we all went back to working from home on the Friday and some days the next week till the weather cleared up. My colleagues who took holiday got their holiday days back, thanks to my manager. I got home at about 10 p.m. that night because everyone trying to leave London was a nightmare. First one is titled, "If you don't pay, you don't drive away." So I was in the shop one day, a customer was in getting some keys copied, nice and simple job. Suddenly, while I've got the machine running, some shirtless guy comes in looking really frantic. I tell him I'll be just a minute longer, then I finish the keys, and send the first customer on his way. Frantic dude, "Geez, took you long enough, I need you to come unlock my car." I'm already a little annoyed since it's almost closing time, but I just figure he's got a kid, dog, groceries in the car and give him the benefit of the doubt. Me, "No problem, where is it?" "FD, a couple miles that way, my girlfriend drove me over here. You can follow us to it." I get some info from him, the kind of car it is, his name, number, address in case we get separated, etc. "FD, my phone's in the car, so if you call it I won't answer." Me, "Then how about your girlfriend's number?" "FD, hers is in there too." "Well, okay then. Since it's pretty much closing time, I just go ahead and set the alarm and lock the doors as I leave." He doesn't like this and starts saying how I'm taking forever. Yeah, take a chill pill, 5 extra seconds won't kill you." I get in my truck and follow him out there. When we get there, I grab my tools and head to the car. Surprisingly, there's nothing in there except for the keys on the seat. No kids or dogs, so now I'm just hoping it's actually their car. "FD, you'd better not mess up my doors, this is a classic." Yeah, a classic Ford POS. I open it up in about 10 seconds and check the insurance card, and yup, it's their car. I pick up the keys and go over to him, tell him it's $40, and he just looks at me dumbfounded. "FD, wait, you mean I have to pay for this?" Me, "Yes sir, we charge a service call when we have to go out to the location." "FD, well, I'm not paying for that, you did it in 10 seconds, I could have done that myself if I'd have known." Me, "Well, I'm sorry, but I can't do this for free." I could have, but there was no real urgency, like a life endangered, plus he was rude about the whole thing. We normally would just bill someone in the situation, but we've been burned too many times, so we'll only do that for companies. "FD, I'm not paying for that, I don't have any money." Me, "Then if you think you can do it yourself, go for it." I throw his keys in the car, lock the doors, shut it behind me, and leave. I get home about 10 minutes later, then after probably an hour he calls back. "FD, I can't get it open, come back and open my car again." Me, I can go out again, but I'll have to charge you for 2 service calls. FD, duck you a hole, I'm not paying you $80. Me, then you can call out other locksmith nearby, I'm sure he'll be happy to help you. Click. I didn't tell him, but they charge $100 to unlock cars. Never heard back from him. Next one is titled, Want a Different Medicine Since You Know It All, You Got It. So this is a story in a country where the healthcare is free and it took place in a small heath center. Cast. EP, an entitled guy who acts like he knows everything medical-wise. Doctor, the medical officer for the day. Me, the medical student. Oh there we were just working and moving on from patient to patient in order to diagnose their problems and give them the proper medication, and in comes EP. So what happened with EP was that he had an infection and was prescribed antibiotics, amoxicillin, for 7 days, but he just took them for 2 days, came back and started to complain that it wasn't working and wanted a different medication. Naturally, the doctor tried to explain it to him that you have to take it a few days longer in order for the effects to actually show, but he was having none of it and wanted a different medication and just generally rude. After a while of this, the doctor got irritated and said, "Okay, follow me to the treatment room for your new medication," and proceeded to give him benzathine penicillin. For those of you that don't know, benza is a very viscous liquid, and because of that it's injected in your buttocks and quite painful. Not only that, but he used a larger needle than the standard ones that are used for giving benza, and after that patient left he goes to me and says, "Doctor, well that patient won't be bothering me for 3 days. Me, why? Doctor, because he won't be able to sit down on his butt properly for 3 days and you won't see him waiting and sitting outside my office." Next one is titled, Okay, I'll do what you say and not work 80 hours a week. I'd like to start by saying that this may not be the most interesting of the malicious compliance threads you've read, but I have to admit this still gives me immense pleasure thinking about it. So this happened in 2017, almost a year after I started a new job. To give some background, where I had previously worked, I was mostly responsible for managing the costs of projects within a construction program which, long story short, was refurbishing a major bank's branch buildings. I had worked on this program for almost 10 years, and so when a competitor won the new program contract, I was headhunted by them for my expertise with that particular client. The pay increase was significant, and as part of the job offer I was told that due to the local office being more than 1 hour commute away, that I would have the option to work from home when I was not required for meetings, etc. So this move happened in July 2017, and the first 6 months were uneventful. Carried on doing the role I had been doing for almost a decade. Come January 2018, I was given a promotion so that I was now not only responsible for individual projects, but for managing the whole program with a team of 5 people. Let's just say that this team of 5 was undertrained by the previous management. This team was also based out of different locations to ensure national coverage, meaning that the majority of my interactions with my team was over Skype, phone, and if I wanted to spend face-to-face time with them I had to travel somewhere between 2 and 3 hours one way. But I tried to be efficient with my time and used it by traveling by train and continuing to work on my laptop. This will be important later. But happy to be moving further up the ladder, I decided not to make too much of a deal out of the fact I would not be getting a pay raise with this change in roles, with my logic being, I'll let my results speak for themselves, then they'll have to recognize what I've done for them. Over the next couple of months, doing 70 to 80-hour weeks, my contract stated I was required to complete 40, but I didn't mind the extra time as I again wanted to show them they'd made the right choice giving me the promotion. And with plenty of time spent training up the team further, we were finally getting somewhere, and after a particular successful presentation to the client, for which I was actually given a performance bonus for, everything started to go downhill. The meeting I mentioned took place on a Friday, and the following week my manager, let's call her Allison, was due to be on holiday for a week. Whilst she was off, she had asked that if her boss contacted me could I drop everything and assist with his request. I said I would and went home for the weekend. The following week I never heard from her boss. Cue Monday morning of the following week. I was working from home that day and booted up my laptop and almost instantly got a Skype message from Allison requesting that I have a meeting with her at her office, approximately 2 hours away from where I live, the next day. I thought nothing of it as I spent at least one a week at that office with a member of my team, as mentioned above. When I got to the office the next day, I was expecting the meeting to be a quick catch-up of anything that had happened whilst she was on holiday. She wasn't a very involved manager, so the fact she didn't need to know on her first day back didn't surprise me. However, what preceded was an absolute crap show. She started screaming at me for not doing anything whilst she was on holiday, and that I had purposefully been negligent by not doing as she had asked, by not helping her boss. I explained that he had never been in touch with me and so had thought the required work was delayed, again not uncommon. She again said I was negligent and should have contacted him if I hadn't heard anything. When I explained I was extremely busy with an unexpected issue that had come up, she told me that I should have done what she asked me to and left it to one of my team to handle. To avoid any further arguing, I said it would not happen again. However, internally this was the beginning of my compliance. Over the next few months I continued my working hours, however would always prioritize her requested, some so mundane she really could have just done them herself in 15 minutes, and if issues came up whilst I was working on these, told my team that unfortunately they would have to redirect the issue to my boss so she could prioritize my workload. She did not like this, as I should have done this myself. To take revenge on my petty compliance, she decided that my usual work pattern of 3 days a week working from home, where I would generally work at least 14 hours, and 2 days working from offices based 2 or 3 hours away, I would leave at 6 a.m. and generally would not be home until 8 p.m, was no longer agreeable. The conversation went like this. You need to work in the office every day. The current agreement no longer works as it is causing delays in communication. It wasn't me, but my local office is more than 1 hour away. Well, we'll have to relocate you to a closer office. Me, there isn't a closer office, that is my local office, and because of traffic it can sometimes take me 2 hours to travel one way. This had sometime happened when there was a train strike, road closure, etc. Well, you have to work in your local office then. Me, if you want me in the office, I won't be doing any overtime. The only reason I'm happy working the hours I am is because I'm at home. I don't care, I want you working in the office. Me, okay, no problem. Fast forward another 2 months and I'm doing exactly what was agreed, working my hours. When traveling I do not open up my laptop, as this was outside office hours. I don't look at emails received after I leave for the day, and for me I'm enjoying having my evenings back. Allison did not enjoy this as it meant late requests were completely ignored and usually ended up being late. There was one occasion where she emailed me 1 minute late requesting some information she needed for an important breakfast meeting she had the next day. But because of when she asked, I wasn't able to get this to her until an hour after her meeting started. I took particular joy in pointing out to her when she sent me the email and our previous agreement. But due to my treatment I had been receiving, I decided to being looking for new employment. Then came the day to hand in my notice. She had the biggest poo-eating smile when I gave it to her. I knew the whole thing was just a way of getting me out. However, something she didn't understand was how far removed she was from my day-to-day tasks. So when I had a program handover meeting with her a couple of days before I left, I finished 2 weeks early as I had holiday days that needed to be taken before my final day. I can't remember the whole meeting, however the below is a great example of how the meeting went. So who does ABC? Me, I do that. Okay. And who does XYZ? Me, I do that as well. Oh, that's you as well? And who does 123? Me, yeah, that's me. Wait, you do that? How do you have time to do that? Me, that used to be one of things I did in the evening so no one could interrupt me. It doesn't take too long, may 2 hours a day. Okay, but who does 789 when you have to do ABC? Me, oh, when that happens I used to start work early, finish ABC and then do 789. Please bear in mind that during this meeting she was becoming paler with every one of this back and forth to the point where I thought she was going to pass out. The look on her face as I left her with the giant heap of crap to look after was almost the best thing I have personally felt. But the best thing is I have recently been in touch with a previous colleague where we discussed Allison and how things were going. Turns out that after I left, the entire program came to a grinding halt. Due to the fact that Allison had almost no experience with the client or their requirements, it turns out that minor issues were becoming huge problems, with the resolution taking way too long. This and the fact that Allison hadn't trained up my replacement properly. Found out he started a week after I left. The entire program came to a complete stop, and that because of all the things that had gone wrong she was responsible for. She was sacked about 6 months after I left. Still brings a smile to my face. Last one is titled, Compliance at Work. I visited my aunt a few days ago, and she told me 2 stories on how she left work. The first story. My aunt was pregnant with my cousin and quite moody at work. The other employees kinda discriminated against her since she was big, and her boss fired her. She told her boss that it was fine and to give her her last paycheck, to which the boss responded with, "Not until you return your shirt." My aunt took off her work shirt and gave it back, then proceeded to walk out. Unfortunately, she didn't get her last paycheck, but she got a funny story to tell. The second story. There was a rule at this place of work that everything had to be labeled, so on my aunt's last day of work she went to her boss' office and put labels on everything in there. The labels included old cup of coffee, used tissue, and other things making fun of him. She didn't tell me. She said she left a label saying, "You're going to miss me, aren't you?" When the boss got back to work, he told my aunt that he was gonna miss her. She was surprised and asked if he already went to his office. When he said no and left to go there, she left the store. Thanks for listening.